I'm curious in your thoughts on the metals. So obviously, if there's a big market downturn, miners are going to get crushed. Exploration stocks are going to get crushed. I mean, this is my assumption. And so, I mean, even today, as the war is heated back up between the U.S. and Iran, and there's been some strikes on multiple different targets and bases and such. Gold was down 2% earlier today and such. And so, do you think that this could be? Is this just a temporary kind of impact on the metals? What's your thoughts there?
So, three metals that I'm most concerned about, and I'll address all three of them: gold, silver, and copper. So, as you know, from the low 1300s all the way up to earlier this year, I was a roaring bull on gold. And then last year, I even surprised myself because I was kind of not liked by the silver bugs because my standard line at a gold show was owning silver was like kissing your sister compared to gold. But that changed last year when it went under 30. But in early February, I suggested selling all the bullion. And I took a lot of flack for that because we went into that, as I told you at the onset, that parabolic rise. Anytime I see them like that, I know you got to be looking for the exits, not the entrance part. Having said that, late last week, I thought there was time to start going back into the physical metals, not jumping in with both feet, but using certain entry points. In gold's point, I went in and said the remaining half, either on two closes consecutively above 4,800 or a retest of the lows in the 4,000. And by the way, I don't think it's happening, and I know you're going to need smelling salts if it does. Technically, it can go all the way back to 3,500 and still be in a up leg. But I'm not calling that, so I don't want to take credit that somehow if it does. But the worst case scenario was the 4,000 area. Silver, I thought, was actually performing better. And the absolute worst case low was the reaction low at the low 60s and all. And so we're set now with half in, and then the other half if those parameters are hit. The metal that I spoke about since the first time I ever spoke to you, that I said was the safest of the three, that I said was the absolute turtle versus the rabbit, but was the most likely to work higher without ever having to exit, was copper.
Mm-hmm.
And now we're sitting, as you and I speak today, at all-time highs. The fundamentals have never gotten better than they are now. Wall Street is still completely underinvested or no exposure yet. Yet they're telling everybody in the world to buy AI and things related to it, but all the things to build what they need, they don't own. Aluminum, all the other things that make it up and all. So copper to me is just really starting to come into its own, has the best of the three bullish arguments, but all three can be owned. The one that I may put my hat back on, and maybe in the early days when we talked, I think I was a bull at that time, and that's uranium. The problem uranium has is this. It has the best argument of all of them. It has the most certainty of need as much as copper if we're going to have all these things in the world. The problem is we can still count on, at maximum, both hands, the number of producers. Everything else is an expiration play. And so that's always been my concern, but not yet because I think that, but can they all go down like if there's a crash, if we have an 87 where suddenly the market's down 20%, you're right. Shares and all are going to go down with it. I think they'll rebound faster. But outside of a crash, we've had a lot of the washout. In fact, if you look at the juniors last week and even today, as you said when we speak, they're unchanged or ticking up. They're pretty well washed out because they never had a big entrance. There wasn't, other than those few weeks where everything went parabolic. So I don't see a big liquidity need. What's not going to happen is this. If you're right and there's a 20% down day, you're not getting this call. Sell all my AI stocks, sell my Treasury bonds, but buy me some junior expiration stock. That's not going to happen, okay? But at the same time, I don't think there's going to be massive liquidation of them.
Yeah. Okay, got it. So when we're thinking out long term, so for me, I haven't bought gold. It's been a little bit, maybe like a couple weeks. I mean, I bought some gold about a couple weeks ago or something. But looking long term, with the amount of debt, the amount of currency debasement that needs to happen, to fund these entitlements, things of that nature. I just foresee like gold's going to go significantly higher. So if I were to see a pullback to 3,500, I'm backing up the truck. Mine may be a little pickup truck, but I'm backing it up, right? And so longer term, how are you viewing these metals? So obviously copper is going to be needed, but what about the monetary metal, gold, and the half monetary metal, silver?
I don't really, I put that out there because it is theoretically possible. I don't see it going below the reaction low that it had down there, 4,000. But having said that, let's understand that the physical market is still clearly being accumulated by key central banks. Think of some of the news we just saw. We just saw China basically just open the floodgates for its citizens to buy gold. We know that there's a continuing movement away, and whether it's BRICS or other types of formations of trading. And the reality is, the other part that's actually bullish for gold, and I got into a lot of hate mail, and the comments would show up even in interviews by you, but they've died now. But you remember a couple of years ago, we had this guy telling us gold is a relic, it's useless, get rid of it and buy something called Bitcoin. And when it got to 126,000, I said, that's the all-time high. It'll never be higher than that again in my lifetime. So far, so good. Keep in mind that the public in general here in North America, particularly in the U.S., has still not moved towards gold because they had these people telling them these other things, NFTs, mem coins, now the Ethereum and all these things. They're blowing up. That was competition. That was taking away the interest that might have otherwise come into the metals, particularly the junior resource market. As long as they don't crash and they roll over down, there'll be a segue, people seeking these stories. And so I just don't see gold more than 10% lower than where it is now. And you're right. Who wouldn't, if it got down to that level? I think the surprise will be, and this is an interesting story, Darryl, and there's much better experts that you can speak to about this than me. But Trump is again bringing up Fort Knox and ordering it. Remember last year when he was for about 2 weeks with him and Musk every day, we're going there next week. And then suddenly he stopped. And my joke to my clients was, I think somebody came in the room, Mr. President, I don't think you want to go there. But I do think this argument that there may be coming a gold-backed Treasury bond is real. And that's why he's going to want to see, hey, do we have our gold to begin with? We're going to do this because we're going to have to raise some serious money the way the deficits keep going and all. So I think there's a reality to that and all. And the only reason I think he would want to go and audit, because somebody suggests to me there's reasons you want to audit it. So that'll be interesting. Also, the fact of a gold back, a revaluation. But all those arguments are all bullish arguments for gold long term, not bearish.
Yeah, I was reading something on the level of purity of the gold in Fort Knox may need to be addressed or something. I don't think it meets like the national or international purity standards of 0.999 or something like that. Do you have any thoughts on that? Have you read about that?
There's that talk. We just had this CIA person they arrested who they found $40 million of gold in his house.
Yeah. I'm like, hey, he got a good salary or something. What's going on?
So, did he visit Fort Knox? Something, I have a friend that jokes, and he's a huge hedge fund manager, one of the bigger ones. And he's joked that he says, I hope it's not Geraldo Rivera. And people don't remember, years ago, Geraldo Rivera got his claim to fame. He went to go and open a wall that Al Capone, the famous gangster in the 30s from Chicago, and they all thought when they tore down this wall, they were going to find all this stuff nothing was there. It was done on national TV. We certainly don't want that to be the case in Fort Knox, to find out that they had one set of gold and then behind it there was nothing there. But one of the things that I think, and I know the good people at Gather and argued this for a lot of years, is even if it's there, it might have been lent out more than once or more to one person. And that's all the other things that people have always been concerned about, how the bullion dealers manipulated the market and all. Remember this. This is another long-term bullish. The paper market that used to suppress the physical market, controlled out of London and New York, those days are gone. It's moved to Asia. And the more it's moving there, the less the paper hangers can manipulate the gold price for more than maybe a few hours or a day or two. And that's another real long-term bullish factor.
Okay, so what about silver? I know there's a recent chart showed that China has imported the most silver it's had in a while. I know that they put some export controls on sulfuric acid as well as some of the resources that are coming out of there. Do you see silver as going higher? What are your thoughts there?
I actually think it can lead gold here for the rest of the year. I think it's gone. It certainly looks better technically at the moment than gold does. And I think that will help with momentum players. But I also think that argument, that the long argument of this great shortage of it is real. And the industrial usage of it now is so much more important than it was 20 or 30 years ago. So I would look, if I was owning it, and this is unique for Pete Grant to be saying this, I would want to own basically equal amounts. I would not, as I used to own 2 or 3 times more gold than I would silver. But I think it deserves to be on the same level as gold right now.